Someone asked, when's the last time you talked to anyone from Genesis?
Anyone from Genesis? Oh, I spoke to Peter Gabriel the other day, and Richard McPhail, who, although he wasn't part of the band, was very much part of the team, and had communication with Phil a few weeks ago. So it's always lovely to speak to the guys or hear from them. That's important. I think we were a band of brothers at one time, and it's nice that's it's nice that there's an open line. It's good. Doesn't mean there's any reformations in the pipeline. I wouldn't dream of trying to hit them up for favors. It's just nice that you get to say, "Hey, how you doing?" How you doing? Is it all still working? Oh, great. Are you working on something? I think they all sound to me like they're being productive. So that's nice to know. I have a vested interest in knowing that my mates are all still plugging away at it, still doing it.
When you were starting this, do you just sit down on a guitar? Are you visualizing in your head? How does it work?
Well, melodies come along in different ways. Sometimes they come along when you're noodling away on a guitar. Something turns from a doodle into a sketch, into a portrait, if you're lucky. Other times, a melody might pop into my head. In fact, the opening melody that kicks the album off was originally designed to be a combination of electric instruments and orchestra. Of course, we couldn't have orchestra because to access orchestras of that size, you'd have to have 80 people in different rooms, and the idea of trying to coordinate all of that sounds great, for some gala performance, pie in the sky. But for me, we worked with a handful of players and an awful lot of technology. To answer your question, nobody knows where melodies come from. They either pop into your head or they don't. And when they do, I find that you have to honour it by writing it down. That's the way it works for me. If I write it down, it's on paper, and I've got loads of things on paper, but then things start to surface. Certain melodies haunt me more than others, so I'm always looking for melodies that haunt me. So if they stick with me, the theory is that they might just stick with other people.
There was a fan that the last time I talked to you had said about, you're so prolific in all the things you put together. He had mentioned something, and he's a guitar player, but he's not well known. He said, one of those songs would take me 1,000 years to write. Just one of those from your last album. So here's to you.
Well, I'm a fan of, many people, great writers, and we all have the same thing, the anxiety of influence. When you have heroes, whether they are classical heroes that are non-competitive, in that Tchaikovsky isn't releasing any records recently, but there's the legacy of the amazing orchestrations, compositions, concepts, and all the rest. Arguably the inventor of heavy metal, cannons going off on the 1812 overture. If that isn't heavy metal, I don't know what is. So it would be a mistake to think that anything that one could do in music is new. All you do is you put your own slant on it, and I'm not going to. So I'd like to demystify it and say that whatever I've done, I think with enough patient attention to detail and working with great collaborators, I think that if everyone's a detail freak, the music will get better. And all we're looking for is for things to improve as we go along. So I do these things that could have been written in the 1800s, that sort of 19th century romanticism, or I go back to the Baroque period and occasionally record a piece by Bach or Scarlatti. One of the pieces on the album is the Scarlatti piece, born in the same year as Bach, 1685, same year as Handel. So you got three of them, Domenico Scarlatti, J.S. Bach, and Mr. Handel. And you think, what's going on there? What was so great about that year? Why did they all arrive at once? It's all a mystery. Music is a mystery. I don't think it can be taught. You can teach people to read and you can teach people to play, but the quantum leap that is writing satisfactorily for yourself and others is a thing that it comes over time. There has to be a burning ambition to do it, but I think it's brick by brick. I don't think there's any quick answers here. I wish I could make this more sexy for everyone. Say, what you've got to do is go out and buy yourself a wonderful tiara, wear sparkling clothes, and go out and get on stage and just be divine, darling. Well, that would be, one way of doing it. And indeed, you can fake it to make it. And if you've got the right shoes, the right hair, and if you're very much younger than me, you've got a very good chance of having a head start. But there's the other side of it, which is experience, which means, the older and more decrepit you get, the more experience you have, and therefore it's this trade-off between, physicality versus whatever goes on up here in these grey cells.